Hello everybody, David Lynch here, and as you can see I'm in my car. I'd much rather be filming this outside here at the AXA Training Centre, but I'm stuck in the car in the car park for one good reason. It is, as per usual, extremely windy at Kirkby, so I just want to make sure that you can actually hear me as I run through what we've just been hearing from Jurgen Klopp at his press conference to preview Liverpool's first Premier League home game of the season, which is against Bournemouth at Anfield this Saturday. So lots to get into, but as you can expect, and as anyone would expect, the first question up was about the fact that Liverpool have made the third signing of the summer to follow Alexis Mac Allister and Dominic Szoboszlai. That is, of course, Wataru Endo from Stuttgart. Not really a signing that anyone would have expected Liverpool to make this summer. It really has come from left field, this one. But Jurgen Klopp, he struck a really happy and positive tone when asked about this move. He seemed to be really pleased about it. He did touch on the fact that, describing Endo as a late bloomer. He touched on the fact that he's 30 years old, outside that usual age bracket that Liverpool would usually look for. But he was so full of praise really for his defensive qualities and described him as a smart player. He also said that he speaks really good English, which is going to be really helpful as he looks to settle in really quickly at Liverpool after making that move late in the window. Now the question mark is, and Jurgen Klopp admitted this himself, he's not entirely sure whether Endo will be available for that Bournemouth game. The Premier League registration, you have to be done for 12 o'clock on the working day before the game. That has been sorted, that is my understanding, but the big question is whether Liverpool can get that work permit sorted in time. So as of this afternoon, Jurgen Klopp not entirely sure whether Endo will be available for his Premier League debut, but as I say, extremely excited about this move and really positive about it all. Now, of course, this move for Endo has come about off the back of the fact that Liverpool have missed out on two potential defensive midfield signings. That is Moises Caicedo and Romeo Lavia, who of course both last week went to sealed moves to Chelsea instead of coming to Anfield, despite Liverpool having bids accepted for both of them. But the way that Jurgen Klopp looks at this, this is the quote I've got here. It says, "When you have a problem, you can stick to the problem or you can find a solution." And obviously in Endo, he really believes that he's found that solution. He spoke so highly of the fact that so many people from across the Bundesliga were messaging him and saying this is a really smart move. So him and of course Jörg Schmadtke, the sporting director, will want to prove here, and they will want Endo to show that they have made the smart move here, and that Endo is good enough to play for Liverpool. Now, of course, with the third signing in the summer made, the question is always going to be, is there more to come? And that question was asked of Jurgen Klopp here at his press conference, and he was sort of mixed on it really. He obviously doesn't want to give too much away in terms of what Liverpool are going to do in the transfer market, but this is what he had to say. He said, "The window is still open. On the outgoing side, from my side, nothing will happen. Incoming, still time, so let's have a look." So obviously on the outgoing side, I'll just touch on that quickly. There has been rumours that the likes of Alisson Becker and Mohamed Salah may be the subject of bids from Saudi Arabia in the coming days, but obviously Jurgen Klopp doesn't expect anything like that to happen. And in terms of incomings, we know that Liverpool would kind of like to bring in another central midfielder if they could. They're scouting that market at the moment. Czech Decore is the name that keeps coming up at the moment. So clearly they're going to have a look out there. They're trying to get some business done ideally. So Liverpool still pushing for that, and Jurgen Klopp effectively confirming that in his press conference. So really positive news, I would say, for supporters as we edge towards the end of this window, that there is going to be more to come from Liverpool. If they can find the right player at the right price, obviously we know the real sticklers for that, then they will get something done, and they are pushing hard to get some more business done, which needs to be done. If you ask me, I still think they're a little bit light in certain areas of the squad. Now, just moving away from that and onto the actual topic of the match, which obviously in these press conferences doesn't always get discussed. There's always a million other talking points to pour over with the manager. Just in terms of the team news, he was asked about Thiago Alcantara and Stefan Bajcetic, and said about both of them really that they're quite close to being fit, but not quite there just yet. So it remains to be seen really whether they can be involved in training enough to be part of the squad against Bournemouth, but it certainly didn't sound like they'd be ready to be in the starting 11. So looks like Jurgen Klopp's going to have to really sort of mix and match his midfield options, still short and hold the midfielder, particularly if they don't get Endo registered in time. So that's going to be a difficult one for him. Just away from that as well, not just those two players who were doubts, I believe. Curtis Jones, is my understanding that he's picked up an ankle injury. Now, that will keep him out of this game, at least the coming game against Bournemouth. Now, that's not one that Jurgen Klopp has asked about, but one to think about when that team comes out, what that midfield is going to look like. he could be short of 3 midfielders there. So Liverpool really light on options, and as I say, if they can get Endo registered in time, that would be a really a big boost for them, you have to say. Now obviously they're coming up against a different Bournemouth at Anfield this season to the one last season. If you remember last season, Liverpool thrashed Bournemouth 9-0 in what turned out to be Scott Parker's final game in charge of the club. He was subsequently replaced by Gary O'Neill, who then saved Bournemouth and kept them up, but he's been replaced again by Adoni Iraola as well. So a new manager, a new Bournemouth manager that Jurgen Klopp's coming up against. Now he was asked about him, and he said he's done an exceptional job in an unconventional way prior to arriving at Bournemouth. So he's really obviously clearly a fan of Iraola's work as a manager, but he said it's really difficult to adapt very quickly to the Premier League and the demands of that. So Jurgen Klopp clearly hoping that he can catch Iraola out as he adapts to the Premier League and finds a new way of working. And obviously Jurgen Klopp was really excited about the fact that he's going to be back at Anfield as well and having that crowd behind him. Now we know that the top tier of the Anfield Road end is not going to be open, but there's still enough fans in the stadium to make a big racket and hopefully cheer Liverpool on. They can turn that good point against Chelsea, well, the point against Chelsea that he got in the opening game of the season, into a really good point by getting a victory and following it up with a good start at home. So let's see how it all pans out. Really interesting stuff from Jurgen Klopp as usual. And if you want to keep track of these press conferences and also the matches, of course, I will be at the Bournemouth game as well, providing you updates and more information and hopefully some player ratings and post-match discussion as well. So please do like and subscribe if you want to keep track of this content, and thanks very much for watching.